Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about two languages that, believe it or not, are secretly running our digital world. Yep, I'm talking about Python and SQL. Let's dive in. Seriously, just think about your day. The movies that pop up on your streaming service, your online shopping cart, all of that stuff is powered by just massive, massive collections of data. So the big question is, how do we actually talk to all that information to make it do anything useful? You know, it wasn't that long ago that all this information was just paper, stuffed into filing cabinets, collecting dust on shelves. Finding anything was a total nightmare. But today, all that data lives in what we call a database. Think of it like a perfectly organized, super efficient digital library. And that organization, it's absolutely key. A database arranges everything into these really clean, simple tables, just like the one you're seeing here for movies. See how each row is a different movie, and then each column gives you a specific detail about it? The title, who directed it, its rating. Everything has its own perfect little spot. Okay, so we've got this giant, perfectly organized digital library. Now what? How do we actually get any information out of it? Well, that's where our first tool comes into play. Let's talk about SQL. And a great way to think about SQL is as the ultimate data librarian. SQL, that stands for Structured Query Language, by the way, is a language built to do just one job, and it does it incredibly well. It asks a database very, very specific questions. It's literally like walking up to that librarian and saying, "Hey, can you please find me the titles and ratings for all the movies that have a rating higher than 8? And just like a great librarian, it goes and gets exactly what you asked for. No more, no less. But here's the thing, asking for data is really only the first step, right? What if you want to actually do something with that data? Maybe you want to analyze it or build a website with it or even train an AI. For that kind of work, you can't just ask questions. You need to be able to give instructions. And that brings us to our next tool, which is our second tool, Python. And if SQL is our librarian who goes and fetches all the books, then Python is the workshop. It's the place where you take those books and you build something totally new. So while SQL is super specialized, Python is the complete opposite. It's a general-purpose language, and it's famous for just making sense. The syntax is so close to regular English that writing code in Python kind of feels like you're just writing out a list of simple instructions. That's what makes it so incredibly approachable for people. And that right there is the magic of the workshop. With Python, you can build, well, almost anything you can imagine. We're talking websites, really complex data science and AI models, video games, even just little scripts to automate boring tasks in your day-to-day life. It is just so versatile. You know, when you strip it all down, pretty much every Python program follows this really powerful, simple logic. It takes in some data, that's the input. It performs a bunch of operations on it, that's the process. And then it produces a final result, the output. Input, process, output. That's really the heart of giving instructions with code. Okay, so this is the really crucial part. How do the librarian and the workshop, SQL and Python, how do they actually work together? Because this partnership, this teamwork, is what powers pretty much all the apps we use every single day. It all starts with a question. First, a program sends a request to the database using SQL. In this case, it's basically asking our librarian, "Hey, can you please go retrieve all of the movie ratings from that movies table?" Simple enough? Okay, so what happens next? Well, our librarian, SQL, hands that data over. The Python script then takes that raw information, which in this case is just a long list of numbers, and it stores it in a variable. It's basically getting all the materials ready for the workshop. And now, this is where the real magic happens. Python gets to work. It takes that raw list of numbers, it processes them, and it transforms them into something totally new and actually useful. Like this chart right here. This visual actually gives us some insight into the movie ratings. It literally turned a bunch of boring data into actual knowledge. All right, so we've got a librarian and a workshop. Pretty cool analogy, but why does any of this really matter to you? Why is understanding this partnership so important? It's because our entire digital world is built on this really elegant division of labor. You have one tool, SQL, that is just hyper efficient at doing one thing, managing and fetching data. And then you have this other tool, Python, that's incredibly flexible and perfect for building the actual application and the logic around that data. They're specialists that work together. And this powerful synergy, it isn't just some abstract idea. It is the engine that is humming in the background of almost everything you do online. I mean, when you're scrolling through your social media feed or you get that perfect movie recommendation, you can bet it's this exact combination of SQL and Python working together behind the scenes to make that happen for you. So here's a little challenge for you. The next time you open up any app on your phone, just for a second, try to imagine that hidden conversation that's happening. The very precise question being asked in SQL and the creative, powerful answer being built by Python. Because it's that constant dialogue, that back and forth, that truly brings our digital world to life.